Hi, I'm Tamar, and welcome to the Weekly Energy Tune-In. The theme that comes to me this week has to do with adaptability and attachment, which to me translates to how resilient we are in our life. This has been an overarching theme for a lot of us in the last few months, plus several months. But a lot of it is coming up again really strongly because some of the things that we thought that were temporary or that we were done with are actually, we're realizing now, are staying for quite a while, and there's a bit of an unknown of how long it's going to be. This is making a lot of us reassess what we're doing and come up against our own rigidity, or the places in our life that we're unwilling or haven't been willing to adapt. The places that we're still attached to old patterns that aren't serving us anymore. I believe that the more adaptable we are, the more resilient we are. When we're able to live in a state of agility, meaning we can go with the changes that come into our life that are presented to us, we are able to mold, and we are more likely to find a path forward and to thrive. However, if we're staying flexed in the joints, metaphorically and physically, the unexpected, which is inevitable in this life, can really cause harm. It can be really jarring to our system when we're unwilling to bend, or when we try to fit our plans into life instead of the other way around. The impact that changes can have on us can sometimes be almost destructive. But if we're able to flow and adjust and adapt, if we're able to absorb the energy that comes our way and respond in a way that is coherent, kind of like when a ball is thrown against a mattress that is a soft surface versus glass, which is a hard surface. Glass doesn't have a lot of give, and so the impact is a lot harder and it breaks. So, with that in mind, the aspect of our mind that we need to better understand to become more resilient is attachment. Throughout our lives, we tend to make plans of how to get from point A to B. B is usually an emotion disguised as a goal that we're not always aware of. This in itself is fine, but when we tend to get attached to the path of how to get to point B instead of how we want to feel, and we can become pretty rigid and fixed without even knowing that we are. But before we go any further, I want you to understand that everything that we decide that we desire in life is because we hope to feel a certain way by having it or by getting the thing. For example, if someone wants financial abundance, but they don't know that they really are desiring is to feel, to help their family and feel meaningful. Or, for example, if you want a certain career to be successful because you're really searching for a feeling of worthiness or being respectable. So a lot of people aren't aware of the feeling of what they are going for when they aim for a goal. But they do become very focused on the path of how to get to that goal. So at that point, if something happens that gets in the way or threatens to get in the way of this person getting the specific thing, that the goal that they want, they might have a really hard time adapting to that change because they have become completely attached to the path. And they're not really aware of that, and now the feeling is really what's being threatened unknowingly. So the problem with this is that it doesn't leave a lot of room for things to not go our way. It doesn't leave the universe or your guidance system and your higher self a lot of room to guide us towards the things that we want, that we might not be able to see from our limited vantage point. If we stay fixed and attached to how something is going to come to us instead of the feeling of what it is that we want, we are more likely to miss inspired action that is trying to direct us towards the thing that we want. We're also a lot more likely to encounter very harsh, sudden, and abrupt course correct because we're more likely to miss or be unwilling to recognize the signs along the way that are trying to gently guide us towards a different path. These harsh course corrects can come in form of illness, of accident, and other major events that kind of get our attention in an undeniable way. So here's what you can do in your life as soon as today to begin understanding where in your life you've been attached or fixed and therefore not as resilient as you could be. Start with thinking about something in your life that you either know for sure that you've been very attached to or very fixed on how it should happen, or perhaps you've been trying to do it a certain way for a while with not much progress, or that you're simply not really enjoying how you're doing it. Maybe this is the way you've been working out, or maybe it's what you do for a living, or even something smaller like how you spend your free time. Write it down, and then write down how you're hoping to feel by doing this thing. So become aware of what feeling are you actually going for. Is it joy? Is it fun? Is it freedom? Write it down. Then take an honest look at what you've been doing that in your way of being fixed as a means to getting to this thing. So, for example, have you been really attached to your income flowing to you in a certain way? And then write that down. And then be willing to be very honest with yourself about whether or not this path that you're attached to and you're fixed on still feels like the best path for you. And if there might be another way for you to get to the feeling, to your why, the why you choose your path, in a different way. Ask yourself, am I allowing myself to see different ways? Has there been evidence in my life that the path that I'm on might not be serving me anymore? And have I allowed myself to take note of that? Have I allowed myself to consider other paths? And then the last thing is that I invite you to really observe this week in your own life. What happens when there's changes that you weren't expecting? And when this happens, ask yourself, what is the feeling that I'm hoping to feel by this happening in a certain way? And be willing to focus on that feeling and allow the path to shift, and practice trusting that as long as you know how you want to feel and as long as that's your North Star and your focus, the path to where you want to go, the paths are endless because you open yourself up to so many different ways to get to where you want to go because you're not focused on it happening directly in this way. Remember that staying fixed and attached to something doesn't in any way guarantee success, and it doesn't guarantee safety, because life isn't meant to be stagnant and things aren't meant to stay the same, and that's not a recipe for thriving, even though many of us have been taught that like security comes from things staying the same, and that's in a way how our brains are also, they identify the known with safe and secure. But we all know that that's not where growth comes from, and that's not how we manifest our dreams, and that's not where expansion to new levels of being comes from, and it's not how we stay resilient. Resiliency is a choice. You get to choose to become more aware of how you're responding in your life, and you get to choose your state of being. You get to choose to be more adaptable and to bring light into how you make your choices and to your patterns. I think this is what this time is asking us all to do. And I know it's not always easy, but I promise you that it'll be worth it. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video this week, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so that you get notified every time I release a new video. to help you on your journey. Thank you for tuning in and have a good week. Not be the best path forward. Kitsumino. Maze. Mama's recording a video. Maze. He's a handsome boy. I love you.